Donald Trump has tried everything possible to avoid his Jeffrey Epstein scandal, but it has all backfired. Of course, he started by telling Pam Bondi to say, we don't even need to think about Epstein, just move on. But it didn't work, so Donald Trump moved to lying. That's not my signature in his birthday book. I wasn't even friends with the guy. It was all proven false. So what is Donald Trump doing now? Quite literally running away on a state visit to the UK, where his Epstein scandal has not only followed him, but blown up in his face in the worst and biggest way yet. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into how Donald Trump's state visit has backfired so badly and why he is being rushed away, I want to start with the latest updates on how Donald Trump's Jeffrey Epstein scandal is being brought into new light. And that happened today with Adam Schiff and, of course, Kash Patel, who has screwed himself, and Schiff talked more about it right here.
Well, clearly I struck a nerve. I think he realized just how absurd the idea is that, Todd Blanche, the president's former criminal defense lawyer, our current deputy attorney general, meets with this sex offender, the most important witness in the Jeffrey Epstein case, and then is suddenly transferred to a minimum security prison not suitable for a sex offender like her. And we're supposed to believe the administration had nothing to do with that. It's preposterous. So I think it was a combination of realizing that what he said was just stupid and not credible, but also he's at risk of losing his job. And he thinks by attacking me, by attacking Cory Booker, by attacking Democrats, maybe he can salvage his job. But, my feeling is, look, if he continues to be so incompetent, if he continues to say in a high-profile, horrible assassination case that the subject is in custody when the shooter is not in custody, he continues to embarrass the FBI and the president, he's not going to last long in that job, no matter how much he attacks me or anyone else.
I want to ask about an exchange you had about the Epstein case, and specifically what the evidence that the FBI has or DOJ has indicates about the sort of scope of people that were associated with Epstein, particularly the most egregious crimes he committed. Take a listen.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is it your testimony today that in all the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
You're telling the American people today that the Epstein list is a single name and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're to believe?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying.
Now, I will admit to being confused because I watched a bunch of the hearing. I was looking back over the transcripts. He seemed to answer that to Senator Kennedy. I mean, again, I'm not saying I don't know the truth here, to be honest. I don't necessarily believe that Kash Patel's a credible messenger, but maybe that is the case. But he seemed to answer yes to Senator Kennedy and not to you, and then get mad at you and said the same. So do you understand what his testimony was today?
His testimony was, and it was hard to understand because it was so far-fetched, that Jeffrey Epstein only trafficked women to himself, not to anyone else. Basically, the client list, this celebrated Epstein list, only has one name on it, and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That was the import of his testimony. I was struck by it. I think Senator Kennedy and others were struck by it. Of course, there's no one who's, I think, going to be more struck by it than the victims of Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking. But apparently, Kash Patel and the FBI now want the American people and Trump's own base to believe, hey, there's only one name on Epstein's list, and that's Jeffrey Epstein.
I would not be surprised to see Donald Trump over the next 48 hours, or maybe when he gets back from a visit, which you will see has already gone so poorly, to maybe throw Kash Patel's head on the chopping block, not only because he is one of the most incompetent, I don't want to say most, because we still have Pete Hegseth around, Tulsi Gabbard. Oh, we can never forget about RFK Jr. All of these dumbasses in the administration somehow pale in comparison to the last week of idiocy from Kash Patel. It is just disgusting to see the actions from this administration. People who want to force us to care about Charlie Kirk but can't care enough to actually do their jobs. It's idiotic. It is ridiculous. It is embarrassing. but not as embarrassing as what just happened to Donald Trump in the UK. He didn't like it a lot. He was rushed over there to avoid Epstein. I'm sure he's going to be rushed away from this too. Brits welcome Trump with Epstein video on his royal lodging. Jeffrey Epstein's shadow has followed Donald Trump to his royal lodging across the pond. Just as the president arrived for his state visit to the UK, protesters projected massive images of Trump alongside Jeffrey Epstein on the walls of Windsor Castle. It comes just hours after Trump boasted about being invited to stay at what he called the ultimate castle. A reel including several infamous images of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, as well as a copy of the lewd birthday letter Trump allegedly sent the disgraced financier, were projected by protesters reportedly led by the group led by donkeys. Thames Valley police arrested 4 people in connection with the stunt on suspicion of malice communication, CNN reported. The Trump-Epstein projection follows similar stunts from the previous day when protesters unfurled a huge banner of the pair over the Long Walk at Windsor Castle. The Daily Beast has reached out to the White House for comment on the projection and the other protests surrounding the president's visit. Roughly 70 protesters, organized by the Stop Trump Coalition, gathered outside Windsor Castle to demonstrate against Trump. Earlier on Tuesday, The Guardian reported they chanted, "Trump out," and "Say it loud, say it clear, Donald Trump not welcome here," according to the outlet. Trump is making history as the first U.S. president to get a second state visit to the UK, but he has seemed to be more focused on his lodging, portraying his stay at the castle on Wednesday as historic. He is spending the first night at Winfield House, the U.S. ambassador's official residence in London, before heading to Windsor Castle on Wednesday. This is just too delicious. It's exactly what we need right now. I've been having just one hell of a day. And I can't tell you the smile that this brought to my face, thinking of Donald Trump so excited to stay at little Donnie's castle, and it's all ruined. And he leaves the US just as Kash Patel is getting skewered in front of Congress. And now he has to literally, physically confront the reality of Epstein one more time. I'm sure it's driving him crazy, but I think this is more important than just the Epstein protest and getting Donald Trump upset. It represents what we need now more than ever in this country, which is peaceful protest. People exercising their First Amendment rights. What this administration claimed that Charlie Kirk was all about, that's not true. Charlie Kirk didn't actually care about free speech. He just wanted to attack the intelligence of black women for profit. That's what Charlie Kirk really cared about. He wasn't some champion of civil rights. But what this administration is doing right now is cracking down on the same First Amendment rights they claim to protect. It's just not the case that they actually care. They will jail you for speaking ill of Charlie Kirk, even when speaking ill literally just means posting his own words. I cannot tell you how many people have been fired from their jobs from taking a picture of things Charlie Kirk said and resharing it. You don't need context for that. If you think that sharing Charlie Kirk's own words is so bad, then doesn't that tell you what a fucking piece of shit he was? Isn't that all you need to know about Charlie Kirk? If you can get so angry at just having his words presented to you that you have to fire someone, that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump want to go after those people, it is moronic that they think this was some bastion of freedom and liberty and righteousness. It's just not true. I will not let this story be rewritten. I will not let the truth be changed. We need to speak louder, no matter how hard this administration tries to crack down on our speech. And someone who is more outspoken than anyone else, I am so glad that they are, Jasmine Crockett, had just that to say.
We know that the shooter that was in Colorado, where children were shot on the same day as Mr. Kirk, yet no one wants to talk about it, was also posting some very concerning things online, to the extent that the FBI had been alarmed about his activity, and ultimately he carried it out. The Minnesota shooter was posting online for 30 days, and people saw what he was doing, and then he did it. Maybe we should focus on policing the speech that is more than just speech, but it is leading to actual deaths, instead of just looking at what hurts the feelings of conservatives.
So I'd like to ask you to respond to critics who have pointed the finger at Democrats who have used phrases like fascist or Hitler, made comparisons to those things over time. Do you think that that's contributed to this, or are those critics wrong?
They're absolutely wrong. Here's the reality. They don't want American people to know any forms of history. We know that there was news out today about the president going after yet more historical information. The reality is that when we look at what is taking place, when you look at an authoritarian, and what they do is they try to basically say, you have to do whatever the government says, even if that means that your personal freedoms are going to be subjected to whatever we say, whether it's right or wrong. Right now, our personal freedoms are constantly under attack. Your first question was specifically about our First Amendment rights. Right now, it is about doing whatever the man who currently occupies the White House wants done. There should not be anyone that faces consequences because they actually know history, and they are trying to prevent even more disaster and harm from coming to the American people. What crosses the line is when you say things, especially on air, like, yes, euthanize homeless people. That is a problem. Or when you're having a rally and you start talking about beating up people and causing physical harm. Or when you joke about what happened to Mr. Pelosi when he was attacked. Or when you decide that there are over 1,500 people that were charged and convicted, whether it was in a trial or they signed plea agreements after beating law enforcement and tearing apart our Capitol, and you decide to let them go free. It seems like violence is okay if it is only because the man that is currently serving in the White House asked for it, even when we look at ICE officers and what they are doing to those that are accused of violating our law. That is what they think violence is okay for. But then when it ends up happening and it comes back on the other side, they claim that it's because of the Democrats and them using words like fascist.
Congresswoman, we've heard the president say that he basically thinks that the political violence problem on the left is worse than the political violence problem on the right. Do you think the political violence problem on the right is worse than what it is on the left?
I think it's a false comparison in the first place. And I think we should have a leader that is responsible enough to denounce political violence, period.
We need to be loud in this moment for so many reasons. And I'm glad that we have Congresswoman Crockett leading that charge. We are going to continue to model how she fights back on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want a little bit of hope, I had a very fun interview that you can watch right here with Governor Westmore. We had a blast. It was a good time just throwing the football around. You can see my spiral. And as always, keep on fighting. We're not going to let them silence us. And until next time, I'll see you soon.